What's going on, Longhorn Nation? It's BJ with Bad Talks. I'm back before the USC game. I decided to go ahead and do a preview. I talked to one of my best friends. He's like, man, BJ, I like what you're doing. Make a preview, because he don't get to watch a whole lot of the games. He works a lot. So I'm doing this for him. And I hope some of you guys like what you hear. If you do, subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. If you don't like it, hit the thumbs down and tell me why. And I'll try to change it. I'd like to get, I want to satisfy people out there when it comes to Longhorn Nation. All right. USC, both teams 1-1. USC took a tough loss to a decent Stanford team last week. I mean, it's a conference rival. They both played in the Pac-12 championship game last year. So they know each other very well. Stanford has a potent running game that USC did pretty well on, I thought. Score was 17-3. They ended up USC ended up losing, but it was a tough game back and forth. I tried watching some of it, but I wasn't real impressed with USC. Before I touch on USC and go through what they do and kind of who they are, they remind me of one team in the country. They really remind me of this team, and it's the Texas Longhorns. The way their team is built and the way they played, guys, it reminded me of so much of us. It really did. Just the way they are. And when I break down their roster a little bit before I move over to Texas, injuries and stuff like that, you'll see why. Their quarterback, JT Daniels, very highly recruited individual out of California, won a state championship. Here's the most impressive thing about this young man. He's supposed to be a senior in high school. He graduated a year early from high school as a junior to come in USC, and he's won the starting job at USC, which is very, very impressive. I mean, this kid's got a resume through the roof in high school. I mean, he threw crazy amounts of touchdowns, like 50-plus touchdowns his junior year, his last year of high school, and like 4 interceptions. Again, it's high school, so it's a different level. And as he found out real early last week against Stanford, he had no touchdowns and he had 2 picks. The kid was 16 for 34, no touchdowns and 2 interceptions, like I said last week. So tough sledding, but the kid's got it. When he throws that football, it's on a line and it's trying to get to his receiver in a hurry. So that's the one thing. They're very inexperienced at quarterback. Remind you of anybody? He made some big mistakes last week late in the ball game. They were driving, threw an interception in the end zone to kind of seal the game. Remind you of anybody? It does, right? All right, the running back, they're a little more seasoned at running back. They do a lot like Texas, this running back by committee. This Ware kid, he had, I'm looking down because I have some stats in front of me. He had 18 carries for 59 yards, which isn't very well. It's, 3.3 yards a carry. And then Carr was 10 for 52, which is, easy math, 5.2 yards a carry. And then 3 other running backs got 6, 3, and 2 carries. So they gave 5 backs the ball, which Texas was doing that. Not 5, but I mean we were running with 3 and 4 at times. Last week we ran 3. So and if you count little Jordan Humphrey's runs and stuff like that, then it's 4. So they're a lot like us. Where they have an advantage is, I think, their offensive line. They're senior-led, senior tight end, senior right tackle, senior center, senior left guard, and they got a right guard and a left tackle. I think it is, the sophomores. So they don't have any freshmen on the line. They got some depth as well, from highly recruited freshmen, but they have some experience on the offensive line, which Texas does too, but not real senior led, which we kind of are this year. Moving over to their defense. Well, let me back up to their offense just a little bit. Their offense reminded me of Texas. It was a little inept. They didn't run a complex offense, maybe because they do have a young quarterback back there. They were trying to simplify it for him, and it was very easy for Stanford. I mean, USC scored 3 points. USC is loaded with talent, and they scored 3 points. So you can only imagine how frustrated USC fans are as well. Just, like Texas fans are frustrated with their offense. So I look forward to USC accepting the challenge. I mean, again, it's USC, so they're going to come into town, and they beat us last year in their stadium, and we came to play out there. So I fully expect these guys to come here and expect to win. They don't think they could beat Texas. They know they could beat Texas because they did last year, and I'm kind of stealing that from Tom Herman when he said that about Maryland. But it's true. I mean, they beat us last year. They beat this same group, except for on defense. We lost, Malik Jefferson and Sean Elliott and Deshaun Elliott and Holton Hill and those guys on defense. So they'll see some new faces against our defense and some of our old faces. Their defense is good. They got a good defense. Their front four, their front three and front four, I mean, their nose tackle, they run a nose tackle. He's 6'4", 325, 330 pounds. That's a big boy. They're bringing in a different species than Tulsa did, and even Maryland did. They're going to bring in some big guys. Again, their defense is made up a lot like Texas. I didn't do a whole lot of research on their linebackers. It looked like they were junior, senior led, so I'm sure they're good. They got some experience. But their corners are seniors, and then I think their safeties are freshmen and sophomores. So they're just like us. Our corners, you got Boyd out there as a senior, and you got Davis out there as a senior. I didn't notice if Davis was playing this week or not. I'll have to look that up. I apologize for that, guys. I didn't even notice if Davis was playing or not. I hope he is, because that's two seniors out there on the corners for Texas. But that's what USC is going to have. So after touching on USC, let's move over to Texas. Their offense, it looks like offensive lineman Hudson's still out. He wasn't a starter, but he was a solid backup. And as you know, Texas, I mean, I saw a stat last week that like the last 14 games, we've had like 8 or 9 different starting 5 offensive linemen. It's very hard to be consistent on offense when you move linemen around so much. But I will say, I think the offensive line is the bright spot for me on the offense. Some may call me crazy because we haven't said that a whole lot about Texas in the last decade. But they've been consistent. They've been doing well. They've kept Sam off his back. I should have wrote it down, but I'll go ahead and talk about Sam since he's there. If it wasn't for the fourth quarter against Maryland, this kid has great stats. 4 or 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, 500 yards passing. I mean, it was decent stats, something you like. But then you throw in the fourth quarter of the Maryland game, and it, of course, those 2 picks, and he's got a fumble against Tulsa. So the kid's still turning the football over. Coach Herman and Tim Beck and those guys, they gotta get through this kid's head. You cannot turn this football over, especially in these big games against teams like USC and TCU coming up, and then Oklahoma in about 4 weeks. Cannot turn the football over like that. Are we going to go turnover free throughout the year? Absolutely not. Football's football, and it's a funny shape, so it's going to bounce funny ways, so we get that. But I mean, when you're scrambling, you got to know to put the football away. That they're, especially against USC, their defensive ends can probably outrun Sam Ehlinger, and that's not to be funny. That's a fact. I mean, these guys can run. I mean, in these big schools. But so Sam, I hope they get his legs involved a little bit more this week, like they kind of did last week. The only problem is, I think they probably told him, this is me speculating, they probably told him in practice, we want you to run a little bit more. So Sam cost us a touchdown. We're on the goal line against Tulsa. He kept the ball a couple times when he should have handed it to the running back, and the running back would have walked in the end zone, or at least had a better chance of getting the end zone. When you do the zone read, he's going downhill. The running back's going downhill, and the quarterback's not. The quarterback's going side to side. So Sam's got to get smarter with that. Unfortunately, I think our best running back, Keontae Ingram, true freshman, out of Carthage, he's hurt. He's got a hurt knee. I don't think there's any structural damage or anything like that. But, I mean, our goal at Texas is to win the Big 12 this year, and Coach Herman's made that pretty clear. So I don't think this young man right now, it says he's likely out, so he's out. I mean, you don't say he's out now because you want USC to still kind of game plan around him a little bit, but the kid's probably not going to play. And if he's dinged up a little bit, then he probably shouldn't play. But I think Trey Watson and Daniel Young, those 2 guys, and Tennille Carter may get a touch or 2. I'm not sure. I'm sure Kyle Porter will get in, from Katy. He gets in on some third down package and stuff. So we got running back by committee. These guys are going to be able to run the football. Which our guys are up for the task, let's put it that way. But this week, Coach Hand our offensive line coach is going to make his money. You know, I've been kind of bragging on the O-line a little bit, not too much, but a little bit. This week we're going to find out because we got to run the football. We absolutely got to run the football this week. So I'm anxious to see. I'm anxious to see how well we do. We probably need to get them on their heels a little bit. Let's run some screens. I'm not big in this wide receiver screen, but we're going to run it. Every D1 school's running it, so we're going to run it. This run pass option. I listened to an interview today. Nick Saban, he was talking about the run pass option, and everybody's doing it. So that's going to happen. Same wide receivers. I think all of our wide receivers are healthy. I'd like to see Brennan Eagles get a little bit more. And Coach Herman was right. This Brennan Eagles is a huge young man. So I'm ready to get him out there. This is going to be a battle. This is going to be a battle back and forth. I really think so. I'm going to make a prediction. I don't like to do scores because who knows what the score is going to be. But I think we're expecting some rain on Saturday from the Hurricanes. And it's probably going to be a slugfest. I'm going to pick Texas to win the football game. I'm going to pick Texas to win in the fashion, kind of like they beat Notre Dame. It's going to be back and forth. I don't know about a double overtime, but it's going to be back and forth, and I think the home crowd keeps us in it. I think being home keeps us in it, and this may finally be the time when Texas gets over the hump, and the next week we'll be talking about, all right, Texas, you got over the hump. Now can you keep it going? It's kind of like when Charlie Strong beat Notre Dame. We thought, oh, what did the announcer say? Gus Johnson say? Or whoever it was. Texas is back, folks. And obviously we weren't back. So let's don't get too crazy if we win the football game. And if we lose, then let's keep it together. All right, Texas, I hope we do it because the last time we beat USC, we brought home one of these, right? So let's go out there. Let's win this football game. I hope the fans show up and come early. Forget about the rain. Hey, rain is fun. We used to like playing in the rain as kids, right? And if I can, before we go, it's not football related, but shout out to, prayers go up for all the families that are in the Carolinas and stuff like that that's waiting on this hurricane to hit. I can only imagine the fears that they're going through. Just know that we're praying for you and we're thinking about you. And fortunately, I don't have any family out that way, but if there's anything DJ with Bad Talks can do, by all means, we're here for you. God bless, and you guys have a good night.